Joining us now is Luke Norman, CEO and Director of Leviathan. Now, Luke, you'll notice that I conspicuously called the company Leviathan and nothing more. Could you please introduce us? Because at this time, it's a very exciting time to be starting the story. There's a big pivot going on.
Yeah, pivot is the word. We've made a massive transference by purchasing a private company, Cura Exploration, which holds a massive portfolio in Botswana on the Kalahari Copper Belt.
So I understand that we're going to pivot from Leviathan Gold to Leviathan Metals Corp. Explain to us the upgraded project portfolio and how this is reflected.
Yeah, absolutely. So by the acquisition of Cura, a private company, we've managed to secure in excess of 12,000 square kilometers, of tenure and tenement all the way through the Kalahari Copper Belt. And that comprises of some prime shallow copper ground, as well as a very significant uranium portfolio.
Before we get into the rocks, can you tell us a little bit about Botswana as a mining jurisdiction?
Yes, certainly. Look, it's my first soiree into Africa. I've traveled there many times, but from a business perspective, I've always been a little bit cautious. Aussies and Kiwis tend to be at the forefront, but I've been, based out of Canada for many years, and the investment community in Canada are a little more cautious of African nations. So I was informed by my peers and some close friends that Botswana is certainly fits outside of the mold for typical African nations. That's being challenges with a slew of different things. So rather than take their word for it, I flew down. I spent some time in Botswana. I traveled through most of the projects, and I was blown away. Like the relative difference between it and neighboring South Africa is night and day. You could not imagine that they're even on the same continent. And by that, I mean just the ease of getting around, the friendliness of the local people, the pride of ownership of the local people, right down to their homes are well looked after, vehicles. It's an amazing place to actually visit, and ultimately, we're really looking forward to doing business there.
Now, we'd love to learn more about the Kalahari Copper and Uranium exploration portfolio. Can you tell us sort of what stage of development it's at and what Leviathan's plans are in the near term?
Certainly. So one of the core tenements that we're going to focus in on in the initial phase of exploration there is called the Central Project. You will be able to find that, of course, on our website, and we'll share the website, I'm sure, towards the end of this presentation. You'll find it on our website. Central sits right next door, literally abuts MMG's Khoemacau project. Famously, MMG purchased that and actually closed the acquisition in April of 2024 for $1.9. And since then, they've invested an additional $600 or $700 million into it. And the reason being is Khoemacau is one of the lowest cost copper producers on the planet. It's shallow, it's high grade, and easily accessible. So we're looking at a identical domal structure to what all their mineralization is hosted in, right next door, abutted to it. So an exciting opportunity there.
So it's not just Botswana that you're invested in, you also have projects in Bosnia. Can you start off with an introduction to us about that mining jurisdiction?
Yeah, certainly we do. And we did so just so that we could tongue-tie everyone between Botswana and Bosnia. We acquired Bosnia whilst we were already looking for a tier one jurisdiction. So we were looking for a tier one copper jurisdiction. I should pop that in just relative to why we ultimately bought Cura. In the interim, the mining law was just changed in Bosnia, and our chief geologist, Jeremy Crozier, approached me and said, look, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for polymetallic Mississippi Valley type / CRD opportunities all the way down through Bosnia-Herzegovina. So he came to me with this concept, this idea. Since then, I've been there as well, by the way. I've visited again. I refuse to invest into any jurisdiction without having been there and sort of kicked the rocks and felt the safety of business. We met with the deputy mines minister, etc. We have an amazing polymetallic system there. It sits about 120 kilometers south of Adriatic, and we've just started doing some trenching work, and everything we're seeing there is actually quite staggering, and I'm not one for hyperbole usually.
So, with this Focha project in Bosnia Herzegovina, what is Leviathan's plan in the near to midterm?
Absolutely. Continue to do the surface trenching and sampling that is underway as we speak, and ultimately from that delineate some drill targets. Now, there were some historic drill results there from way back in the 50s, 60s that were quite tremendous grade of zinc, lead, silver, the full array of what we'd be hunting for, of course. And we want to hunt the source of those, and we want to we believe there's a massive structural corridor through there that could host a monster polymetallic deposit.
And finally, Luke, now that Leviathan is really completing this big pivot, can you tell us what is that strategic drive behind the company? And what are those next big news flows and catalysts for us to pay attention to?
Absolutely. Well, look, for one, myself and Jeremy Crozier, we're massive believers in the next phase cycle for copper. So it has been all about the last 5 years is looking for a tier one copper asset. And, for what we've put together along the Kalahari Copper Belt, we've managed to achieve, I think something remarkable. Over 12 months it took for the actual from being introduced to the opportunity to closing the acquisition. Since then, the entire belt has lit up. There is a ton of junior money pouring into there all of a sudden. So copper primarily, but we've been so fortunate to have picked up the uranium portfolio through Cura, which is no slouch either. We actually have a down dip extension of a known uranium deposit in Botswana. I won't get into depth on that today, but it has tremendous opportunity and upside. And then the Bosnian assets, look, I don't even know where to start. They're standalone, and maybe at some juncture they become standalone, but I would be watching very closely for news out of Bosnia with us also.
Well, Luke, it's been fantastic to get such a thorough introduction to Leviathan Metals Corp, soon to be officially named. And we will be absolutely digging deeper into each of these projects as those news flows come forth.
Great. Well, I look forward to it, and thank you for taking the time.